To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.
So, my dear children, in the earlier chapters, we discussed all the theoretical things related to the lesson related to the lesson natural disasters. So, over there, we discuss about the several natural disasters that may happen to Sri Lanka, right? So, we discussed about earthquakes, we discussed about tsunami waves, we discussed about wildfires, and we discussed about cyclones. So, those were the things that we have learned within this lesson part. So, now it's time to discuss several questions regarding the lesson part, my dear children. So, in the same way, like in the previous lessons, we'll be discussing first of all our questions in the textbook. Okay, so first of all, my dear children, you are given with a question here. So here you need to select the correct or most suitable answer. Which ocean associated with the earthquakes and tsunami that occur mostly? Which ocean? Now they are referring to on an ocean that is going to occur more number of tsunami waves and earthquakes. I think my dear children, you could clearly remember that. Can you remember about the Pacific Ring of Fire, right? So that ring was located at the Pacific Ocean. So by associating with the Pacific Ocean, more number of tsunami waves and earthquakes will happen. So our answer should be Pacific Ocean. So let's see whether there is Pacific Ocean. Yes, in the second one you can observe there is Pacific Ocean. So our answer should be Pacific Ocean. Pacific. Next one. The factor or the factors causing a tsunami, right? So factor or factors causing a tsunami. Factor or factors that will cause a tsunami. So tsunami is going to occur, tsunami wave is going to occur mainly because of vertical displacement of sea waves, right? Vertical displacement of sea waves. I mean, like sea waves should rise up to a greater height. The amplitude of a sea wave should be more, like 1 or 2 meters. And the other thing is the wavelength should be less, right? And it should travel at a higher speed. Usually this thing is going to happen, right? Usually this thing is going to happen, my dear children, when seawater is being vertically displaced, right? When it is being vertically displaced, right? Then a tsunami wave is going to occur. So how does the vertical displacement can occur? By earthquakes, of course, by earthquake, right? What will happen? The seawater will rise vertically upward because sea waves are traveling like this. So if a sudden upward movement of the tectonic plate near a sea, right, will definitely give rise to tsunami waves because the water bed is getting vertically displaced over there. So this is correct, my dear children. Earthquakes. Number 2, volcanic eruptions. Once again correct, right? Volcanic eruptions will trigger some earthquakes, then earthquakes will trigger tsunami waves. So this is correct. Next one, fall of meteorites. That is also correct, right? When a meteorite is going to hit the planet Earth, right? Let's assume that it is going to hit an ocean bed. So in that case, water is being vertically displaced. So in that case also, tsunami waves can occur. So all of these things, my dear children, are examples for tsunami, right? Are causative agents for tsunami waves, right? Next one. Which option indicates the tectonic plate movement shown in the following figures respectively? So tectonic plate movements. Here you can observe that the two tectonic plates are moving apart like this. So moving apart means it is a divergent one. Divergent. Here one plate moves towards the other plate like this. one tectonic plate is moving towards the other tectonic plate like this. So it is a convergent border, or else it is a convergent movement, my dear children. Here, my dear children, very simple, they slide past each other. So this is a slip movement, right? This is a slip movement. So divergent, convergent, slip. Convergent incorrect, divergent, convergent, slip. Yes, this should be the answer. Divergent, convergent and slip, right? Okay, so we'll move on to see the next question then. So mark whether the following statements are true or false. Okay, mangroves near the seashore reduces the speed of tsunami waves. Absolutely correct, right? Mangroves near the seashore is going to reduce the speed of tsunami waves. That's correct. No problem in it. It's correct, right? Because I told you that if there are obstacles, then when tsunami waves is going to come and hit an obstacle, the speed is going to reduce, right? So the collateral damage given out by the tsunami wave is also going to reduce. So it is correct, no problem, right? Next one. Greenhouse effect has an influence on the rise of sea level. Absolutely correct, my dear children. We have discussed this thing several times, right? It has a certain effect on rise in the sea level. How come? Because global warming is getting increased because of the greenhouse effect. The global warming is keep getting increased. The average temperature of the planet Earth is getting increased because of the global warming, right? And global warming is mainly getting caused because of the greenhouse effect. So as a direct influence, right, of the global warming, as a direct influence of the global warming, what will happen, my dear children? Polar ice caps will definitely getting melted down because of increase in the temperature. Polar ice caps means, my dear children, glaciers. So when dissolving glaciers in the sea water level will definitely rise. You know that large amount of water is stored within the Arctic and Antarctic area as in the form of solids, which are referred to as glaciers. So when this solid water is getting dissolved within the oceans, the oceanic water level will definitely rise up, right? So that means, my dear children, greenhouse effect is causing global warming. Then global warming is going to trigger out increasing seawater level in the oceans, which means the greenhouse effect is going to create the increasement of seawater level. So it's a correct answer. Okay, so we can put tick over there. Next one, in deep sea, the height of tsunami waves is about 1000 meters. Incorrect. In deep sea, my dear children, actually a person will not be able to even identify whether there is a tsunami wave or not, right? It's because within the deep sea, the amplitude of the tsunami wave is very less. Height of the tsunami wave is very less within the deep sea. However, when it is coming towards the shallow sea, right, the amplitude is going to increase, right, while is the speed and the wavelength is going to decrease. Okay, right. So in deep sea, height of the tsunami waves is about 1000 meters. It is incorrect. Next one, cyclones occur on the equator. Once again incorrect. It occurs near equators, right? It's going to occur near equator countries, within near equator countries, not on the equator, right? So it is incorrect, my dear children. Next one, the direction of the spin of cyclones occurring in the northern hemisphere is anti-clockwise. This is correct, my dear children. Can you remember when we are doing that activity, when we are rotating that water within a certain container by putting that pieces of paper within a certain plastic bottle, and we rotated it anti-clockwise. So we should give out an anti-clockwise rotation to identify the direction of movement, right? It's because actually the cyclones that occur in northern hemisphere is going to rotate anti-clockwise. So it is correct, right? So let's see once again what are the things given. Mangroves near the seashore. reduces the speed of tsunami waves. That is correct, absolutely correct. Next one, greenhouse effect has an influence on the rise of sea level. Once again correct, I have explained it to you guys. Next one, in deep sea, the height of the tsunami waves is about 1000 meters. Incorrect. In shallow sea, right? In shallow sea, the height is going to increase, not in the deep sea, my dear children, right? So cyclones occur on the equator. Once again incorrect. Cyclones are not going to occur on the equator but near to equator, right? Next one, the direction of spin of the cyclones occur in northern hemisphere is anti-clockwise. That is correct. So these are the answers for the second question. Now let's head on to see the third question, my dear children. Right, insert the words or the phrases given below into rectangular boxes of the following concept map as appropriate. Okay, now you are given with a concept map over here. Now in here, within this concept map, you have to complete the blanks. So phrases or the words are given underneath the concept map, my dear children. So it's referring to tsunami waves. So here causes are given at your left hand side, my dear children. Causes are given. So are caused by, are caused by, are caused by, and are caused by. There are 4 reasons given in here. Is attentive about means concerning about, right? So you have to write down the institution which is going to concern about the tsunami waves. The country is highly affected. So you have to write down the countries which are getting highly affected. Next one, destroyed by. So you have to write down a certain thing which is getting destroyed because of the tsunami waves. So for your convenience, some words are given even in here, so you can observe it. Number 1 given, volcanic eruptions, coastal environment, earthquakes, earth slips under sea, fall of meteorites, Chile, Indonesia, Japan, Geology and Mines Bureau. Right, so we'll complete, my dear children. First of all, you can clearly observe the causative agents. Earthquakes. So tsunami waves are created by earthquakes. So earthquakes are going to create tsunami waves. So here as reasons we can insert earthquakes. Earthquakes. Right, then earth slip under sea, that is also correct, right? Earth slip under sea. Earth slip under sea, right? Under the sea, earth might slip. So because of that, tsunami waves can occur, right? Next one, volcanic eruptions. That is also a reason. Volcanic eruptions. Then, my dear children, fall of meteorites. Fall of meteorites. Right, so the reasons are now finished. Now let's head on to see the others. Is attentive about, that means concerning about tsunami waves. So tsunami waves are being monitored, right? Earthquakes are being monitored and they are being concerned about, right? This institution is concerning about those things and necessary information are being provided to the people, right? So that institution is Geology and Mines Bureau, right? So geology, we'll rewrite it. Okay. Geology and Mines Bureau. So Geology and Mines Bureau. Right, next one. Next one, this country is highly affected. So these countries are highly affected. What are the countries? Chile, Indonesia and Japan. Is destroyed by the final one. So you know that coastal environment is the one which is getting destroyed because of the tsunami waves. Right. So earthquakes, earth slip, undersea, volcanic eruptions, fall of meteorites is going to create tsunami waves. Then, my dear children, Geology and Mines Bureau is concerning and attentive about the tsunami waves. Chile, Indonesia, Japan is highly affected because of the tsunami waves, and the coastal environment is getting destroyed because of the tsunami waves. So this is the answer. These are the answers for the question given in 3. Right? Okay then. Question number 4. Two identical ships A and B were sailing in the sea. When ship A was sailing in deep sea and ship B was sailing in shallow sea, only one ship was damaged by seismic wave erupted in a distant place of seabed. What is the phenomenon resulted by seismic wave caused for the ship damages? Now it is mentioning that a seismic wave has been occurred, right? A seismic wave has been occurred within the seabed. So, because of the seismic wave, my dear children, you know that seismic waves are triggered because of the earthquake. Because of an earthquake, right? A seismic wave can trigger out within a certain surface. So, seismic waves are running here and there because of the earthquake, my dear children. So, earthquakes are triggering. If this thing has happened within the oceanic bed, then my dear children, definitely it should be a tsunami wave, right? It's because that earthquakes which is going to happen within the oceanic beds are the main reasons for the creation of tsunami waves. And it is mentioned in that, see, when you are reading out the question quite well, identical ships A and B were sailing in the sea, right, in the sea. Then ship A was sailing in deep sea. They mention in that ship A is in the deep sea and ship B was sailing in the shallow sea. So ship B is sailing in shallow sea, ship A is in deep sea. They are mentioning that thing. Now if you look at the second question, which ship A or B was got damaged? See, so by just looking at the second question, you can find out the answer for the first one. Because you know that always, all the time, the tsunami waves are going to damage near, near the coastal area, in the shallow sea. So therefore, my dear children, ship B is the one which is getting most damaged because of this wave, right? So just by looking at the second question, you can get an idea about the incident over here. So our answer should be, my dear children, tsunami waves for the first one, right? So we'll write down the answer. Because of right? Because of tsunami waves. Right? Because of tsunami waves. So the second question, it's very easy. They are asking which one is getting damaged, which ship is getting damaged more. So you know that when a tsunami wave is going to come towards the shallow sea from the deep sea, the height of the wave is going to increase dramatically, right? So which means, my dear children, the wave which is going to start, right, the wave which is going to start within the deep sea, right, it doesn't have any kind of like the height of that wave is somewhat less. It doesn't have 1,000 meters like of a height, right? But however, when it is coming towards the shallow sea, the amplitude or the height of the wave is getting increased. So therefore, my dear children, these tsunami waves are not that much dangerous within the deep sea. However, it's getting dangerous when it is coming towards the shallow sea. So our answer for this one should be, my dear children, which ship got damaged, A or B? So our answer should be, right, B should be the answer, right? B. Ship B was sailing in shallow sea, no? So B should be the answer. It's the one which has got damaged. So B ship. Next one. Explain the reason why the ship you mentioned above got damaged while the other was not. So what's the reason? What is the reason, my dear children? Actually, I have explained it several times in the previous, right? So you know that actually this is going to happen because now within the deep sea, right, within the deep sea, amplitude of the tsunami waves are less. But however, when coming towards the shallow sea, amplitude of the tsunami waves are going to rise, right? So because of that, the ship which is sailing in the shallow sea will get damaged. So we can write the answer. Amplitude means, my dear children, height of the water wave. Right? So amplitude of the amplitude of a tsunami wave is very low at deep sea, but when it is coming towards the shallow sea, the amplitude increases. Therefore, ship B will get more damage. Right? So amplitude or the height of the wave of a tsunami wave is, right, very low at deep sea. But So very low at deep sea. But when it is coming towards the shallow sea, the amplitude increases. Therefore, ship B will get more damage, right? So this is the answer, right? So this is why ship B is getting damaged heavily. Always remember, when you take a tsunami wave, the amplitude of the tsunami wave is higher at the shallow sea and it is lower at the deep sea. Okay, right. So these are the answers for the questions given in the textbook, my dear children, right? So let's see the first type of question, my dear children. The first type given here, natural disaster that affects Sri Lanka. Natural disaster that affects Sri Lanka, right? So number 1 given drought, number 2 lightning and thundering, number 3 landslide above all. So number 1 drought can occur to Sri Lanka, right? Because of the, I mean, like when you take drought, it's a common natural disaster, right, for tropical countries and as well as for each and every country in the world. It can happen, right? So therefore drought can be taken as a common, right, common natural disaster that can occur within Sri Lanka also. Then second one given lightning and thundering. Lightning and thundering can also happen in each and every place, right? There is no problem. Lightning and thundering can also happen within several places. Then next one given landslide. Landslide, that is also correct, right? Landslide can also happen. So answer for this one would be all the above. All the above. Right. Second one. Natural disaster is destructive incident occurring due to human beings. Destructive incidents occur due to chemical substances. Naturally occurring destructive incidents. None of the above. So natural disaster is a naturally occurring destructive incident, my dear children. It's quite simple, right? So naturally occurring destructive incidents are the ones which are referred to as natural disasters. Then next one. Select the natural disaster which Sri Lanka is not affected. Not affected, okay? Landslide is correct. Cyclones correct. Tsunami waves, that is also correct. But however, my dear children, volcanic eruptions, we won't be able to observe volcanic eruptions in Sri Lanka because Sri Lanka is not located near a volcano, right? So therefore, the natural disaster which Sri Lanka is not affected, volcanic eruption. Next one. Main reason for the occurrence of cyclones. Low pressure of atmosphere closer to Earth's surface. High pressure of atmosphere closer to Earth's surface. Strong winds. Strong circulating winds. So, cyclones are getting created because of the depressions. So, what is the meaning of a depression? Depression means, my dear children, a low pressure condition within the atmosphere, right? Because of the low pressure condition, my dear children, cyclones then occur. So can you remember we discussed that during a low pressure condition, right, waves, right, here waves means air waves or else wind waves. So wind is going to travel towards the surface as in a circulating manner. So this is the one which is referred as a cyclone, right? So here, my dear children, cyclones are getting created then mainly because of what? Because of the low pressure conditions, not high pressure, but low pressure conditions. So low pressure conditions is the answer, right? Not because of the strong winds. Actually, strong winds are getting created because of the low pressure conditions in the atmosphere, right? So you have to select the most accurate answer in here, right? So the most accurate answer for the question given is what? The main reason is what? the low pressure conditions of atmosphere, right? Cyclones are mainly getting created because of that. Okay, then the area of the region which the eye of a cyclone spread, that is the question. Eye means, my dear children, that's the area, the calm area of a cyclone. So it is going to spread around 30 to 60 kilometers, right? So our answer should be 30 to 60 kilometers. Next one, the cylindrically arranged cluster of clouds around the eye is called as overcast, rain bands, eye wall, eye. So the cylindrically arranged cluster of clouds around the eye. So the answer should be eye wall. Eye wall is the one which is arranged as cluster of clouds around the eye, my dear children, within a cyclone, right? So within the eye wall, heavy winds and heavy rains could be observed, right? Okay, then. Most of the storms affecting to Sri Lanka are born in Pork Strait, Pacific Bay, Bay of Bengal, Jaffna Bay. So very simple, my dear children, right? This was given under the extra knowledge part. So can you remember, most of the cyclones that occur to Sri Lanka is going to born from Bay of Bengal, right? So Bay of Bengal should be our answer. Next one, most number of cyclones entered to Sri Lanka from eastern coast, western coast, northern coast, all the above. Once again, it's very simple, my dear children. Most of the cyclones entered to Sri Lanka from the eastern coast, right? From the eastern coast. Eastern coast. Right, next one. Region with little wind and free of rain and clouds in a cyclone. So can you remember, with little wind and free of rain? That means calm area. So calm area of a cyclone can be observed within the eye, right? Eye. So within the eye, my dear children, we can observe the calm area in a, right, cyclone, right? Okay. Next one. Usually cyclones hit Sri Lanka mostly during May, June, March, April, November and December, in all 12 months. So usually cyclones hit Sri Lanka mostly during May, June, March and April, November and December, in all 12 months. So usually, my dear children, cyclones are going to happen in Sri Lanka during the time period of November, December. So can you remember, there was a table given, right, under the cyclones and the recent cyclones that affected the Sri Lanka. Over there, most of the cyclones which came to Sri Lanka, right, originated, which has been originated from Bay of Bengal, right, came from the eastern coast. And also, my dear children, the other thing is that when looking at the dates, we can get a common relationship that most of those things were, right, not all, like most of those things came from the, right, time period between November to December. Okay, so November, December should be our answer, right? Next one, question number 11. Less violent earthquakes are known as. So less violent means, my dear children, actually these things are, somewhat, they have somewhat lesser magnitude in Richter scale, right? They have somewhat lesser magnitude in the Richter scale, means that we won't be able to feel like those things. If we are going to feel those things, however, right, there's no heavy damage which is going to happen for the environment or for us or for the people, right? So these things or these types of earthquakes are being referred as tremors. So our answer should be tremors. Yes, tremors. So less earthquakes, no. Low earthquakes, no. Slow, no. There are no such things. So tremors should be the answer. Those are the ones which are referred as the less violent earthquakes. Next one, the topmost layer of the earth is mantle, inner core, outer core, the crust. So when you take the structure of the planet Earth, my dear children, it's like this, no? Right? It's like this. So here there is a very thin layer. So this very thin layer is the one which called as the, this very thin layer is the one which called as the crust, right? Crust. The very thin layer is the one which is called as the crust. Then my dear children, the second layer, this is called as the mantle. This is called as the mantle. So mantle can be, right? Mantle can be the upper part of the mantle and the lower part of the mantle. Mantle can be in two different types. Then my dear children, the outermost layer, this is the layer where all the people and living organisms are going to thrive on. So this layer is called as the crust. This is the crust of the earth, right? So we have already marked it, right? So I'll erase that thing. Then my dear children, this inside part, this is called as the core of the earth. So earth core can also be divided into two main categories as inner core and outer core, which means inner core like this and outer core like this. So this is inner core and this is the this one should be the outer core, right? Outer core, and this one over here, inner core. Right. So these are the main parts that we can observe within the structure of planet Earth. So mantle, the mid part, then outer core, then inner core, then the crust of the earth. So earth crust is the topmost layer. So my dear children, the topmost layer of the earth crust is very simple. As you can see within the figure, the topmost layer is called as the crust. Crust, okay? Crust of the earth. Next one. Question number 13. A country that is highly affected by earthquakes. Canada, Japan, India, Thailand. Canada, Japan, India, Thailand. What is the country that is highly affected by earthquakes? So not only by earthquakes, but also by tsunami waves, Japan is the country which is getting highly affected among the countries given from these four, right? So you know that Japan is located within the region called as the Ring of Fire. So therefore, my dear children, answer for this question should be Japan. Next one, reason for an earthquake. Movement in tectonic plates, asteroid collapse, nuclear tests, above all. So movements in tectonic plates like the convergent borders, slip borders, right? So those things are going to trigger earthquakes for sure. Then my dear children, asteroid collapse. That's a good answer. I mean, like, it's going to definitely create earthquakes because of the kinetic energy possessed by the asteroid. When it is going to hit the surface, definitely what will happen? The earth crust is going to create seismic waves. So it is correct, my dear children. Next one, number 3, nuclear tests. Once again, it is correct, no? So under the question, under the theoretical parts, when we are discussing about the human activities that is going to trigger earthquakes. We discussed that nuclear tests will definitely going to create earthquakes, right? So therefore, my dear children, all of these things are correct. All of these things will be a reason for an earthquake. Okay. Next one, question number 15. So question number 15, way of movement of tectonic plate. Tectonic plate movement, my dear children. So tectonic plate movement is given here. Number 1, slip border. Number 2, convergent border. Number 3, divergent border. And number 4, all the above. So you know that when you take two tectonic plates, so when you take two tectonic plates, my dear children, they move related to each other near a border. So those movements are actually these three slip borders. That means they can slide past each other like this, slip borders. So within the convergent borders, they converge each other. One goes underneath and other one jumps up. Convergent borders. Then third one, divergent borders. So the two tectonic plates within the border, they move apart each other like this, right? So these are the three types of borders, border movements that can be observed within the tectonic plates. So my dear children, the answer for this question, the way of movement of tectonic plates, all of these three are correct. So above all should be our answer. Then you are given with a figure over here, right? Figure shows. So as you can see here, my dear children, here the two tectonic plates are moving to opposite directions like this. Not to the same direction, but to opposite directions like this. So they move apart each other, right? They move apart each other, my dear children. So here our answer should be for the 16th question, as they are moving apart from each other. This is a divergent border. This is a divergent border. So divergent border is the answer, my dear children. Divergent border. Right. Question number 17 then. St. Helens Mount is an example for St. Helens Mount. So we were given with three examples about the borders related to the, right, about the borders related to the tectonic plates. So under their mid-Atlantic ridge, a divergent border. Then St. Helens Mount, convergent border. Then, my dear children, third one, that particular border or that particular, the San Andreas fault. So that particular border which located in America. So it was it is a type of a border which can be observed within the ground level. So we from our naked eye we can observe that border, my dear children. It's a good proof to show that Earth crust is made up with tectonic plates. So the third one would be San Andreas fault, right? That is a slip border. So divergent, convergent slip, divergent mid-Atlantic ridge, convergent St. Helens Mount. So go for the answer where it contains the convergent border. Yes. So convergent border is the answer. Convergent border, right? Convergent border, right? So remember, my dear children, once again, mid-Atlantic ridge, right? Mid-Atlantic ridge, that's the divergent example for the divergent border. Then the second one, right? The convergent border, St. Helens Mount. And the third one is given in the question number 18. St. Andreas fault is an example for St. Andreas fault. So St. Andreas fault is an example for the third type, which is a slip border. Slip border, right? Slip border. Right then. Question number 19. Compared to the Earth, the thickness of the crust is about. So when you are comparing the Earth, right? When you are comparing the structure of the Earth, right? Compared to the structure of the Earth, the crust is about how much of a thickness? The thickness of the Earth crust is given as a percentage in these responses. So you have to select the correct one in here. So when you compare the earth, when you are going to compare the structure of the earth crust has the lowest percentage. Thickness of the earth crust has the lowest percentage. So it's not 80, it's not 98, it's just 2%, my dear children, just 2%. So all the other 98% contained within the mantle and the core of the earth. Okay, can you remember we told that it is identical to the boiled egg. So where the shell is going to represent, where the boiled egg, when you take the boiled egg, shell of the boiled egg is going to represent, right? That is the one which is going to represent what? It is the one which is going to represent this thickness of the, right? The thickness of the earth crust. So it is just 2%. It's identical to the percentage of our planet Earth, crust of the planet Earth. So boiled egg is somewhat similar in structure to the structure of the planet Earth. The outer crust is, right, similar to the thickness of the outer crust of the, or outer shell of the boiled egg. So both of them are representing only 2%. Next one. The point of breakage of rocky layers during an earthquake. The point of breakage, right? The point of breakage, the rocky layers during an earthquake. Epicenter, epicenter, focus, surface waves. So, the point of breakage, the rocky layers during an earthquake. During an earthquake, my dear children, you know that, okay, a point which, there's a certain point underneath the rocky layers. So within this point, my dear children, the rocky layers are going to break down and move apart or move towards each other, right? So this point is referred as what? This point is referred as, my dear children, the focus. Exactly on the top of the focus, you can observe the epicenter, right? You can observe the epicenter. So the answer for 20th question, my dear children, that should be focus. Focus is the answer. Okay? Right then. The next question, question number 21. The strength of these seismic waves can be measured by using the instrument. Strength of these seismic waves can be measured by using the instrument seismometer, earth meter, shock meter, Richter scale meter. There's no such thing as Richter scale meter. It is the scale that Richter scale is the scale that we use to measure the magnitude of these seismic waves. Seismometer is the instrument that can be used to measure the strength of the waves. Here they are not asking about the unit, my dear children. They're just asking about the instrument that can be used to measure the seismic waves. So the instrument which can be used to measure the magnitude of seismic wave is seismometer. Seismometer. Okay. Next one. The scale that is calculated on the basis of information recorded by seismography. So the previous one is now clarifying the second one. Can you remember we discussed about that Richter scale? So that's the scale where we measure the magnitude of a certain earthquake, and by using that Richter scale magnitude, we're going to define like what kind of a devastation can happen to the environment which the earthquake is going to occur. So that scale is the one which is referred as the Richter scale, my dear children. Here we measure the magnitude of the certain magnitude. By using a certain value, we are measuring the magnitude of a certain earthquake. Then by referring that magnitude, we are going to find out how much devastation can be given by that particular earthquake or the seismic wave, right? So now don't get messed up with this thing. I mean, like, don't get confused. So here in the above question, they are asking about the instrument. The instrument. So instrument and the scale or the unit are two different things. Okay. for simple thing, my dear children, length and meters. So length is a quantity. We measure height of a certain person. That's a length. We measure depth of a certain thing. That's a length. We measure distance between two towns. That's a length. So it's a quantity. Right? So if you are being asked like this, what is the quantity that can be used to measure, right, the gap between two places? Length is the answer. Then you are being asked like this, what is the unit that can be used to measure the gap of two different places? That's meters, kilometers, or any other. So these things are two different concepts. Okay. So if you are being asked like this, what is the instrument that can be used to measure the length between two different places or measure the gap between two different places? So in that case, we have to mention a tape, meter ruler, and so on. So instrument is a different thing. Scale is a different thing. Quantity is also a different thing. Right? So the previous question is asking about the instrument. So instrument is the seismometer. Then, my dear children, here the scale which is calculated, so the scale which can be used to calculate the information collected within a seismography is what? That is the Richter scale, my dear children. Richter scale. Richter scale. Okay? Right. Question number 23 then. A water wave compares an alternative series of, right? Alternate series of, very simple. A water wave is going to travel like ups and downs, no, like this. So topmost points are called as crests, lower points are called as troughs. Crest, trough, crest, trough, crest, trough, like this. So crest and troughs. First and foremost one is correct. Crest and troughs. Water wave is going to travel by creating crests and troughs. Topmost points are crests, lowermost points are troughs. Next one. The distance between two successive crests or troughs is called distance between two successive crests or troughs. So here crest, then once again here crest. That distance, that particular distance between two different crests or two different troughs. So that distance is referred as the wavelength of a wave. Wavelength. The maximum height which a wave can reach, is referred as the amplitude. So wavelength should be our answer. Go for the answer that has wavelength, the distance between two successive crests. So first and foremost one is correct. Wavelength is the answer, my dear children. Right? Wavelength. Next one, question number 25. The sea is drawn backwards. This is a signal of. Now, if you are on a seashore, then suddenly if the sea is going backwards, then this is an imminent signal of what? This is an imminent signal of a tsunami wave, my dear children. Because the crest is now coming towards you. Crest of the wave is now coming towards you. That's why the sea is going somewhat backward, right? So if there is a signal like this, then definitely you should run away from the shore towards the land, right? Like to the middle of the country. So answer for this one should be tsunami. Yes. Tsunami. Sea is drawn backwards and it is a signal of tsunami. Next one. In the shallow sea, the speed of tsunami waves. Shallow sea. So in the shallow sea, the speed of tsunami waves are going to decrease, my dear children. Not to increase, okay, but to decrease. But however, in the deep sea, the speed of the tsunami waves are very high. But when they are coming towards the shallow sea, the speed of the tsunami waves are getting reduced. But however, the amplitude is very high. Okay, amplitude is very high. So speed of the tsunami waves in the shallow sea decrease. Right? Then question number 27. A greenhouse gas, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, chlorofluorocarbon, all the above. So greenhouse gas is a gas that can attract solar radiation and which can re-radiate back these things towards the planet Earth, surface of the planet Earth. So my dear children, carbon dioxide is a such gas. Sulfur dioxide, the same. Chlorofluorocarbon, once again the same. So all of these gases can attract solar radiation or can absorb solar radiation, and these things can once again re-radiate back towards the planet Earth. So all of these things are correct, my dear children. Question number 28. Effect of emitting greenhouse gases. Effect of emitting greenhouse gases. Okay. Number 1, increase of global warming. So it is an effect which is caused because of the emission of greenhouse gases. That is correct. Right? Increase of global warming, that is correct, because you know that greenhouse effect is going to increase because of the emission of too much greenhouse gases, and due to that, my dear children, the global warming, that means the temperature, the average temperature of the planet Earth is going to increase. So it is correct, no problem. Number 2, increase in the possibility of getting natural disasters. Once again correct, right? Can you remember we discussed that thing under the final part of the lesson? Over there we discussed that the emission of greenhouse gases will trigger climatic changes. Then change in climatic patterns, my dear children, will definitely increase the frequency of getting natural disasters. So this is correct. Increase in the possibility of getting natural disasters. Then third one given, food scarcity. Once again correct, no? Because of several reasons like droughts, then growing of invasive species, like that way, because of several reasons, agriculture may get affected because of the greenhouse effect. And greenhouse effect is triggered because of the emission of too much greenhouse gases. So my dear children, this is also an example for the effect of emitting greenhouse gases. So all of these are effects of greenhouse gases, my dear children, right? Direct or indirect effects. They are not asking about direct or indirect things, so they are asking about only the effects. So all of these things are effects of greenhouse, emission of greenhouse. All of these 3 effects are created because of the emission of greenhouse gases. So these things are correct, no problem. Then question number 29. Select the true statement. So you have to select the true statement. Carbon dioxide gas is not causing greenhouse effect. Carbon dioxide gas is a greenhouse gas, my dear children, which means it can absorb solar radiation and re-radiate back towards the planet Earth, which means it is a greenhouse gas, and that means it can create greenhouse effect. So carbon dioxide is not causing greenhouse effect is totally incorrect. So this is incorrect. Combustible substance is essential for a wildfire, right? Combustible substance is essential for a wildfire. So combustible substance is essential for a wildfire. Actually, that is true, right? No problem. There should be a combustible substance which is essential for a wildfire. That is correct, no problem, right? So we'll keep it and we'll go for the others as well, right? Next one, sulfur dioxide is causing acid rains. That is correct, my dear children. That is absolutely correct. Sulfur dioxide is going to create acid rains. Actually in here, sulfuric acid is the one which is getting created. Sulfuric acid. Okay, sulfuric acid. So it is correct. Then sulfur dioxide is not causing acid rain. That is incorrect, no. So there are 2 possible answers. Very rarely, my dear children, sometimes this is going to come in very rare occasions, okay? Not in several times. I mean in very rare occasions, right? Very rare, not several, very rare occasions. Sometimes you are given with 2 answers. So in that case, what most of the people do is, they might think that both of these things are correct. That means both of these things shouldn't be the answer. Then they go for a different answer. What a terrible incident, right? So if you're given it two answers, then I mean, like, it's much better, no? If you all know that both the answers are correct, then it is a much better option, no? So you can go either of those two. So why you are heading for a different answer, right? So that's why these MCQ answers are somewhat tricky. That's why I'm telling you that these things are very tricky. So sometimes you might go for the answer fourth one. Sulfur dioxide is not causing acid rains, right? However, in very rare occasions, questions like this would come. So in that case, if there are two answers, don't underline both the answers. In that case also, you'll be not getting marks, because you have to choose only one answer, my dear children. If you're going to select two answers, then you are not given with marks for sure. If there are two different answers, select just one answer, right? If there are two different answers, select just one answer. Underline just one. So this is a very rare occasion, but however, both of these two are correct, my dear children. So you remember, just underline one. Don't underline both the answers. Make sure to underline just one answer, right? So underline this one. This one is also correct, right? Sulfur dioxide is going to create acid rain. This is also correct. So I'll put a tick in here. Both the answers are correct, but however, you have to choose only one answer. So just go for one answer, right? Don't underline both the things. If you underline both the things, then you won't be given with marks. Okay, just remember that. Next one, select the false statement. Increase of global warming causes natural disasters. Increase of global warming causes natural disasters. What can you say about that? Increase of global warming, is it going to create natural disasters? Of course, my dear children. In the earlier case, I told you that increase of global warming definitely going to affect the climatic patterns of the planet Earth. So because of that, uneven distribute of heat energy can occur within the environment, within our planet Earth. So if uneven distribution of heat energy occurs, then, my dear children, for a certain area, heavy droughts would come. For a certain area, they might suffer from heavy snow. And I mean, like, when you take the icy conditions, right, it's going to be very hard, right? The winter season is going to be very harsh because of the uneven distribution of heat energy, my dear children. Mainly, this is what is going to happen when change in the global when change in the global temperature. I mean, when increasing the global temperature, this is the main thing which is going to happen, right? So in that case, it's very much clear to us that, right, increase in global temperature definitely going to trigger what? Definitely going to trigger natural disasters. So it is correct, right? So you have to select the false one. This is correct, no problem. Second one, greenhouse effect is creating favorable environment for the living beings. Greenhouse effect. So if it is increasing the global temperature, is it going to create a favorable environment for living creatures? Of course. Can you remember we discussed that greenhouse effect is a good one. However, if the greenhouse effect is happening, right, if the greenhouse effect is going to occur like in much concentration, I mean, like in a heavy percentage, right, or else if it is going to happen in heavy extent, in that case, my dear children, what will happen? The global temperature will increase even more, so that the people and the other organisms and the other things will not be able to survive in the environment. However, if it is going to occur within an optimum level, in an average level, within the needed level, that means, my dear children, it's going to maintain a proper temperature within our planet Earth. It's the main mechanism which helps to control or to keep the optimum temperature in our planet Earth. So therefore, it is very important. It's a very important effect. If the greenhouse effect is not there in our environment, then my dear children, we won't be able to survive, because there won't be any temperature, or there will not be any there will not be a temperature which is suitable for the survival of the organisms. Like I said, can you remember, sometimes if there is no, now let's imagine that there is no greenhouse effect. So in that case, my dear children, when sun is going to set, we won't be able to survive in the environment, because temperature is going to drop down heavily and everything will get freeze, right? So therefore, my dear children, this greenhouse effect is a very valuable thing for the survival of the organisms. However, if it is going to happen in larger extent, in higher concentration or in high percentage, that means, my dear children, it's a terrible case, because in that case, our global temperature will increase, creating certain disasters. Okay, so it's a correct answer. Greenhouse effect is much valuable, favorable. It's creating a favorable environment for the organisms. However, the thing is, in recent years, my dear children, this is happening excessively. So that's why the global temperature is getting rise. Next one, cyclones distribute solar heat around the planet Earth. Once again, correct. It is the mechanism which helps to distribute, right? It is the mechanism which is helpful to distribute solar energy all around our planet Earth. So huge amount of heat energy obtained within the equator is getting distributed all around the planet Earth by cyclones. So this is also correct. Next one, sulfur dioxide is not a poisonous gas. That is incorrect, my dear children. It is a poisonous gas, sulfur dioxide. If you breathe sulfur dioxide, then you will get serve problems. So sulfur dioxide is a poisonous gas. Okay, so sulfur dioxide is not a poisonous gas. This thing is incorrect. Right. So these are the answers for the 30 questions, my dear children. Okay. So my dear children, we have answered 30 MCQ questions. So my dear children, we have answered like 30 MCQ questions within the lesson natural disasters. Right. So within our next chapter, we'll discuss even more questions related to the natural disasters lesson. In our next chapter, we'll be writing down answers for the given questions. So over there, we have to write down the answers by reading out the questions. Okay. So however, we'll be discussing those questions in our next chapter then.
To watch these important lessons, subscribe to DP Education's YouTube channel right now. Click on the bell icon to stay updated on the latest lessons. Sri Lanka's largest free online school, DP Education.